Okay, coming to God series from the Ministry of Obedience, Opeyemi Sonny, the church whistleblower. You are much welcome. Remember that you can be a part of this by following us on our social media platforms at Ministry of Obedience, on all our social media platforms. And you can watch live as we are doing right now, Opeyemi Adeyemi Sonny on Facebook. This is Coming to God series. We are in the Gospel series, special series dedicated to the 4 Gospels of Scripture, so that we can look at the words of Yeshua and actually come to know, take a second look at the words of Yeshua, so that we can have a perfect understanding of what he wants us to do. Alright, so we're going to start. Matthew chapter 5, part 1. There are about 48 verses in Matthew chapter 5. So we're going to take each verse at a time. And we're going to be looking at just some of the verses so that we can divide this session into 2 parts. Alright, so if you're watching on Facebook, thank you for watching. Let me adjust this just a little bit. Okay, I think I'm good to go. Alright, so Matthew chapter 5 verse 1. We are taking a second look at the words of Christ. This is bigger than your denomination. This is bigger than my understanding. This is bigger than any form of church organization. I believe strongly that if we take a second look at the words of Christ, number one, we're not going to be where we are today as far as doctrine is concerned. Number 2, we're not going to be involved in all these things that we do in the name of Christ, in the name of religion. Okay, so let's take a second look. So wherever we find the words of Christ, we'll pay attention to them and take them one after the other. So, chapter 5, verse 1. And seeing the multitudes, he went up on a mountain, and when he was seated, his disciples came to him. Then he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, that phrase is important. He opened his mouth and taught them. In other words, what we are going to read next are the teachings of Yeshua the Christ. I'm saying this again. What we are going to read next are the teachings of Yeshua the Christ. So if your denomination is not teaching these things, you are not following Christ. That's the meaning. It's simple. There is no hiding there. There is no hard feelings of any sort. No. He opened his mouth, Matthew chapter 5 verse 2, he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, this is the Son of God. He opened his mouth and began to teach. In other words, the following things he's going to say are the mind. They have been coined from the mind of the Creator, from the mind of the Son of God. Of course, he is being led by the Father. So if you want to know whether you are in the right path, whether you're on the right path, let's follow the teachings of Yeshua the Christ. Shall we? Okay. Verse 3. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Those who are poor in spirit, those who mourn. What does it mean to be poor in spirit? Well, maybe to acknowledge that your spirit needs to be fed, needs to be enriched. Once you acknowledge that, then there is opportunity for growth, for divine blessings. Those who mourn, are you mourning? Have you lost someone, or have you lost something that is actually dear to you? Yeshua said, you are blessed. Why? you are going to be comforted. And that's why we try to comfort people who go through distress or problems. We comfort people who have lost someone. We comfort ourselves. Okay? It's a blessing to see someone to comfort you in time of mourning. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Now, some of you are of the opinion that believers are flying to heaven, whether now or when they die, or when your supposed flying up that you call rapture is going to happen. But it's an error. The meek is going to inherit the earth. Do you understand that? In other words, some things are going to be given to you, are going to be given to your hands because you are meek. You are going to inherit some physical things because you are meek. Not because you sought for it with all your heart, not because you stole it, but because you are meek. Just because you are meek. Alright? Now, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Why? They shall be filled. Now, to hunger and thirst for righteousness is not something that you think you understand. You must be able to understand the meaning of righteousness first. Righteousness is living rightly, doing right things. If you hunger for that, if you thirst for that, it doesn't mean you are perfect yet, but you're on your way. Why? Yeshua said you're going to be filled with what? With righteousness. So when you begin to ask questions about righteousness, when you begin to ask questions about knowing God, when you don't assume that you already know everything, okay, when you begin to ask, how do we do this? How do we do that? Then you're going to be filled. In other words, if you're not hungry or thirsty for righteousness, you are not going to be filled. Okay? So we're good to go. Verse 8. Blessed are the pure in heart. Verse 7. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. See, if you want people to be merciful to you, if you want the Almighty to be merciful to you, you be merciful to others. There are some things you don't pray about. There are some things that Yeshua has told you, do this, this will happen. Do this, this will happen. Have mercy on people, and people will have mercy on you. Blessed are the merciful. Why? Not because they're going to be praying for mercy. They will obtain mercy. Why? They themselves are merciful. So you don't stay there and pray, God have mercy on me. And are you merciful to other people? Then you will obtain mercy. Okay? Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Do you want to see God one day? Let your heart be pure. Pure in heart does not mean that perfect heart. No. Pure in heart means be honest with people. Just be honest with them. If you don't like what someone has done to you, let them know, guy, I don't like what you did, and I'm actually angry at you. I'm upset at you. Let them know. Do not deceive people. Do not be a hypocrite. Okay? Let your heart be pure. Let it be plain with people. Okay? And are you going to see God? Well, Yeshua said they shall see God. Verse 9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. In other words, who are peacemakers? Those who don't seek trouble with other people, those who seek to settle disputes and quarrels almost as often as they crop up. Okay? This life is full of problems. Why don't you try to be a settler of disputes instead of someone who spikes up or who starts a quarrel? Okay? So you make peace, you'll be called sons of God. Alright? So, blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Like I said before, you need to know the meaning of righteousness. A lot of people are persecuted because they think they are doing what is righteous and they are actually involved in something else. Okay? But righteousness is right living. Righteousness is obedience to the law of Jehovah. So if you are obedient to the law of Jehovah and you are persecuted because of that, Yeshua said, you are blessed. Why? The kingdom of heaven belongs to you. Okay, verse 11, blessed are you when they revile and persecute you and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my sake. He said falsely. Falsely. In other words, you are not guilty of what they are saying. You are not guilty of the offenses they are leveling against you. He's not saying, he's not talking to guilty people. No. He's saying when they speak bad things about you, evil things about you, falsely. In other words, you didn't do it, but they said you did it. He said, you are blessed, especially for the sake of Christ. Okay, there are some people who have said so many things about me because I left the conventional church. I don't care. Really, I don't care. Especially things I didn't do, They level some things against you among themselves. Oh, that brother, yeah, he left because of this and that and that. That's your problem. That's your problem. That's not mine, okay? Especially when I left because of what Christ wanted to do through me, I had to leave, okay? So, consider yourself blessed. He said, verse 12, rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven, for so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. In other words, who is a prophet? A prophet is someone who God sends to the people to warn the people anytime they move away from the commandments. Yeshua said, so also did they persecute the prophets of old. Look at what he's saying about the prophets, and look at what you are saying concerning the words of the prophets, saying that the commandments are no more important. Jesus has come, he has died, and he has nailed the commandments to the cross. Hello? Did he nail the commandments to the cross? Or he nailed the law of sin, the iniquity, the judgment to the cross? Alright, so rejoice. Count yourself happy. Verse 13, you are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its flavor, how shall it be seasoned? It is often good. It is then good for nothing, but to be thrown out and trampled under foot of men, or by men. Ladies and gentlemen, you're not, you see, he's talking to the multitude here. Verse 5, chapter 5, verse 1. Seeing the multitudes. These are people who have heard about Yeshua, who have come to listen to him, and automatically he's calling them the salt of the earth. Don't pray to be the salt. You are the salt of the earth. You are not evil. You are not bad. Decide to do good. You are the salt of the earth. He said, preserve your flavor. Don't lose that flavor, else men will trample on you. Okay? Don't lose that flavor. Verse 14, you are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. He is telling them about the office they were about to occupy as a people of God. The light bearers. Why? They are now visited by the light. Remember when we read Matthew chapter 4 verse 16, the people who sat in darkness have seen a great light, and upon those who sat in the region and shadow of death, light has dawned. All right, so we see that Yeshua had become their light. Now he was now calling them the light of the world. Why? They were now they were now being exposed to the light of Yeshua. They were now being exposed to the words of Yeshua. Henceforth, if they practiced what he told them, they were automatically the light of the world. Verse 15, you don't light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Let your light so shine. You see, there are some things that you can do that will not be hidden. Okay? But just make sure that your good deeds are not from your heart intentionally, that people will see you. Let it be from the heart of love. If people see you while you're doing it, fine. Okay? But if people don't see you, it's better. If people don't know that it's you. But when they see you while doing it, it's not your making. Okay? You didn't prepare for that. but let your light so shine so that they will see the good works and then glorify your Father. Who says good works are not part of salvation? Good works are purely part of salvation. Alright? So, verse 17, do not think that I came to destroy the law or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to fulfill. Is there a clearer instruction to people of this age that Yeshua never came to destroy the law of his Father? He never came to abolish it. He came to obey it, to fulfill, to bring to pass, to complete, to keep, to guard. These are synonyms for fulfill. And this is one of the first things he told you. So if your denomination is not keeping the commandments of Yeshua, of God, and asking you to keep them, you are in the wrong place. Just know that. So don't be surprised if I keep the Sabbath and the feast and all of that. Yeshua said, Matthew chapter 5 verse 17, do not think it at all that I came to destroy it. I came to fulfill. How can you say that he didn't come to destroy, but he came to put a stop to it? Hello? You're not making sense. He didn't come to destroy, he came to keep. And he said, for assuredly I say to you, verse 18, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle will by no means pass from the law, till all is fulfilled. Ladies and gentlemen, heaven and earth are still here. They have not passed away. He said, till heaven and earth pass. Have they passed? The answer is no. So why are you not keeping the commandments? Verse 19, whoever therefore, now this is the warning. This is the warning, and I think I'm going to stop here, or just few. Let me stop in this context. Whoever therefore breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches men so shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does and teaches them, he shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say to you that unless your righteousness exceeds the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you will by no means enter the kingdom of heaven. I want to make some statements here and then I'm going to close. Number one, it's not just breaking the law, it's also teaching people to break it. So the Pharisees had problem with Yeshua, number one, because they broke the law, and number two, because they taught the people to break it. So if you are in a denomination where you not only break the law, it is being taught that the law is no more of effect. Do you understand that? How can a denomination, no matter how rich you are, I don't care, no matter how large you are, I don't care, how can you say that the laws of Jehovah are no more in effect because of faith? So Jesus said, whoever therefore breaks and teaches people to break. So he knows what he's talking about. So how can I come before you or online and say that the law has passed? From these scriptures, it's not there. I don't know where you got it from. So let's be careful. Okay? For I say unto you, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees. The scribes and Pharisees were sinners. They were religious sinners. So don't think that Yeshua is talking about your righteousness has to be more than keeping the law. No, that's not what he's saying. That's not what he's saying. Except your righteousness exceeds that of these people. Who are those people? They were disobedient religious people. Yeshua is not saying you shouldn't keep the law and try to be perfect. No. He's saying you can do it by grace that he has brought. What is grace? Divine ability used on our behalf to do the impossible for the glory of the Father. So that's grace. Alright? So I'm going to end here, and by the grace of God we're going to continue the next session in the part 2. Please pay attention to the part 2. Thank you for watching. You can reach us on all our social media platforms, that is on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, and on YouTube. That is Ministry of Obedience. When you search at Ministry of Obedience, you're going to find us there. And you can write us on via email, ministryobedience@gmail.com. That's ministryobedience@gmail.com. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate you, and Bye bye.